They're here for the, they're for item number 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ready to go.
Talk to you after.
Okay, we're going to open up the meeting for Town of Branford Board of Finance for Monday, August 25th, 2025. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the July 28th, 2025 meeting.
I'll move it, Joe.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion or amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2 on the agenda is to invite citizens' comments or communication for anything that's on the agenda tonight. So if there's anyone who would like to address the board, they could do it now. With no takers, we'll go to item number 3, which is to discuss a future appropriation to fund a series of energy improvements using an energy savings performance contract, and invite this team up. Jim sent me a memo describing the potential to use an appropriation in order to make some capital expenditures involved in a performance contract which would have provide net savings of energy to the town. And we've invited this group, illustrious group, to come and explain it to us. So I'll let you first introduce yourself again for the audience benefit, and then we can proceed with the presentation.
Sure. Tyler Bound, Sustainability and Compliance Manager for the town.
Bill Garbati, Business Development Manager for Energy Systems Group.
Vincent Chiocchio, I'm part of Branford's Clean Energy Ad Hoc Committee.
Brian Droney, Lead Tradesman, General Government Buildings.
Thank you. Okay, so we did receive this description. So if you'd like to briefly walk through it conceptually. And our thought tonight is to bring the board up to date, and, you know, with Jim's input and yours, to understand the need for it and the approach, and also we probably won't vote on it tonight, but this is more of an educational to bring us up to speed as to what the need is and some of the alternatives that we have. So thank you. Jim, you want to kick it off, or do you want to, how do you want to handle this?
I think you did a great job, so I think you pretty much covered everything. As Joe mentioned, there is a memo there that kind of goes over the concept. It's not something that's brand new. We did this back in 2017. It was a much larger project. And at that time, we had done it with the schools. But, you know, realizing that there was only 2 repeat board members from 2017, we're thinking that it would be a good idea to go over these specific projects and kind of go over the concept as well. One of the things to note also is that, you know, like a lot of things are going up in price. You know, our energy costs are going from roughly 7 and change % per kilowatt to over 10. So any type of effort to save the use of energy is important. But these folks are really the stakeholders. You got, General Government Buildings, the task force, obviously the ESG company, and our sustainability manager. So I'll let them talk about the advantages as they see it through their own lens, essentially.
Okay, I guess I'll start. So through a connection I had with Jim, we talked about some of the needs here at the town, in particular the animal shelter. Energy Systems Group was tasked with coming in. We basically do what's called investment grade audit. We spent time with Brian and the team and walked the buildings, reviewed all the drawings that were sent. Tyler shared a lot of the historical usage information. We tried to develop a baseline, look at where the trouble spots are going to be, recognizing that the animal shelter was having some issues. It's an all-electric building, heat pump technology, but lacks some controls and some interactivity, and also desire to maybe add some solar where you can, and your desire to support the climate goals that the town has along with the state. So we did that, and we basically came up with 4 measures, and what we're trying to do is look at things, we're trying to repurpose your existing budgets so that we're not going to taxpayers and asking them for new money to do things. We're repurposing existing budget for utilities and operations and maintenance, and then we're looking for grants and rebates to help buy down that project and then pay for it with those savings. And as an energy service company, we guarantee those savings. We guarantee the cost of the project, too, as well as the performance of whatever we say we're going to put in. It has to work. It can't just save energy but not properly heat and cool you and give you the right lighting and things like that. So even though so we looked at lighting, because lighting can be a core energy saving item. And even though the lighting was done in 2017, it was very early generation LED. It was tube technology, just retrofitted into existing fixtures, which are older. So we're talking about replacing those with Generation 5 LED with integrated controls. It would be a much more aesthetically pleasing light, and it would give you a lot of control around the levels for different parts of the building. It would daylight harvest. It would have better color rendering and occupancy sensing, and then some scene setting, too, where you could just set it for different types of activities, meetings, and such like that. So the lighting is a big measure here. It does drive some of the savings to get us some mechanical. Brian told us that the town hall chiller, condensing unit and air handling unit, the air conditioning heating system, the bulk of that is aging out. And so we could be proactive with you now and take something off your capital stack and plan for that replacement ahead of next summer season and not get stuck with something that all of a sudden, middle of summer, you're out and you're patchworking, and we've seen people throw window units in and try to deal with that. So it gets you ahead of that capital deferred. A lot of these programs not only address energy goals, but they address deferred maintenance and help you get at those capital needs. And then at the animal shelter, we're talking about putting in a building management system that would then control, and Vin's been a real help with us on that, with his background and focus on the Energy Committee, helping us to understand how that system's going to work for you all, and then putting a solar on top of that building. And we have a window of opportunity with solar because right now the federal government is paying 30% of the projects, but with the administration change, there is now a refocus away from solar, but there is a landing strip, right? So if we can get that project started by the end of the year, we can guarantee that savings into next year and have the federal government pay a third of the project. We're also looking at a state program to try to help kick in about $1,500 a year towards that solar as well. So those are the 4 predominant measures that we're looking at. We try to find the right mix of things that will save money, but not get too far into things that won't save money. And then now we're asking for taxpayer dollars. But this gym has the cash flows, this pays for itself in a reasonable period of time, and you're not asking, you're technically repurposing your existing budgets and using the grants and rebates, about $265,000 in grants and rebates to support the project as well.
Okay, so I'm sure we have questions.
Yeah, questions, throw them at us.
So the HVAC at Town Hall is at end of life, or that particular unit,
It's over
right?
30 years old.
Right, and so that's something that would come up for an appropriation anyhow, right, Brian? Yeah. And as far as any of the other expenditures, are they also at end of life? I hear that the lighting is really just an older generation, so that's really, there's an efficiency issue there. And,
Correct.
And then the animal shelter, that's really because the controls weren't put in at the time?
That's correct.
Okay, so,
Yeah, and then there would be solar to additionally offset any additional costs.
got it, okay. And we would own this?
Yes.
Or lease it? I know that Jim had run some scenario about ownership versus leasing, so we would probably, if funded, we'd probably fund it, self-funded. And who performs the work?
Energy Systems Group, we perform the work and we guarantee
So
the work.
you do the work, or you have subcontractors that?
We do have some subcontractors that, certain trades and things like that, but
Right.
we are, we designed this system, and we have on-site project managers. So it's a turnkey approach to this, and alleviates staff from having to go bid these things out individually and deal with them individually.
Sure, maybe before we hear the board, maybe if we could hear from Tyler and then Vinny and then Brian?
Sure, yeah. So I was brought on this project mainly for the animal shelter when this first started, and I showed up after the animal shelter was already completed. We have been seeing really high bills for the animal shelter itself, and that was kind of where this started. So we moved forward from there, trying to figure out how we could essentially make that building run more efficiently. And that's where we then decided to look into other elements, as Bill alluded to, that could essentially pay for the benefit of improving the animal shelter. From a sustainability point of view, I think all of these projects make perfect sense. I think that specifically for our energy goals as a town, if those of you may not know, most of us already know, we set an energy plan in Branford in 2020. I actually showed up after this was here, but my job is to move that forward. This is because in 2018, the state of Connecticut set a goal of producing 40% of its electric power through renewables by 2030, to also rise to 100% by 2040. So those are pretty bold goals, and we feel that these projects would push that forward. If you look at something like the solar array, it will be a 73 kilowatt solar array, and that will actually offset approximately 80 to 100 metric tons of CO2 annually. And what does that look like? Well, that's equivalent to planting over 1,300 trees or removing 20 cars from the road each year. So I think something that could actually improve our savings, our health, our comfort, and our resilience. If you look at the energy plan, that's kind of the main goals of the energy plan, and these projects will help with all of those.
Thanks, Tyler. Vince?
Yeah, just wanted to say something as part of the Clean Energy Ad Hoc Committee. Our mission is, for the town to improve public health, lower energy costs for the town and its residents by meeting and exceeding the state's greenhouse gas reduction targets that Tyler just mentioned through efficiency and renewable energy. In addition to this, everybody who doesn't know me, I'm president of Controlled Air, an HVAC company in Branford, and we've been part of the community for over 45 years. And while my company has nothing to do with this project, my professional experience in the field gives me confidence in the value and effectiveness and the measures that Bill's presenting. The proposal of adding solar to multiple buildings, replacing outdated HVAC systems, upgrading to LED lighting, and installing the energy management system at the animal shelter is consistent with our committee's goals and represents a sound forward-looking investment for the town. And at the animal shelter in particular, I was involved with a lot of the investigation with Tyler. We looked at and saw the deficiencies by not having an energy management system. And these upgrades, such as they're going to have electric heat optimization, which prevents the electric heat coming on if you can utilize the heat pump, demand control ventilation, which controls the ventilation, which only provides what's needed, and then we'll also be able to have a better control of the humidity, which also will improve the indoor air quality. So the goal with these improvements would be to have a healthier, more efficient, high-performance building, which is part of the vision of the committee. And these projects, I think, advance both fiscal responsibility and environmental responsibility, and I, as a member of the committee, encourage your support.
Thanks, Vince. Question on the town hall. I've heard some things about these variable frequency drives. Have they been perfected, or are they still problematic at times?
They're pretty perfected. Yeah, we've had them for years. and, as a dealer, we sell them. And, when they were 20 years ago, they would fail every year. Now they're very seldom do you see any failures. Yeah, they're pretty
Yeah,
perfected.
we actually have one, but the air handler, as we mentioned, it's well over 30 years old.
Yeah.
When I got hired here in July of 2019, one of the compressors failed, so we went without air conditioning for a couple of weeks before we got the compressor in and installed. And I was told then that we just have a Band-Aid on it right now.
And
So it's-
that unit also has CFC refrigerants.
Yes.
As part of the Clean Energy Committee.
Okay, gotcha.
So, which is an R22, which has been,
We got to phase those out.
it's already phased out. So you're only using what's available, only what's recycled. So it's no longer produced.
Right. Brian, you have anything else to add on these projects?
Yeah, to piggyback off of Tyler, the BMS system at the animal shelter is needed, because right now I have no controls, like I can't see what actually is going on. And by having that, I could pull up on my computer every morning and see what the humidity level, what the air supply temp is. Right now, I have no access to it.
Okay. Questions from the board on this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a
sure.
quick one.
Yvette?
Doesn't the solar have to be put into use by the end of the year to qualify for the incentives, the federal incentives?
No, it just has to be 5% expended.
Okay. It's different than residential then?
Yes, you're right. Residential is kaput at the end of the year.
So, two questions.
Sure.
What other municipalities have you worked with that have gone forward with a project like this, and what kind of results have you seen?
The most recent project was the town and schools of New Milford, and that was a fairly large project, like you did in the past. It was a $15 million project. It's actually received Eversource's one of their efficiency awards of the year, and that included 2 solar projects as well, and a small cogeneration at the high school.
And the other question is, you mentioned the grants and rebates. Who manages that? Do you do the applications
Yes,
for that? and
we
manage that?
facilitate that. We would probably work through Tyler for signatures and that type of thing, but Tyler, we'd be partner with Tyler to make that happen.
So conceptually, this total project cost, Jim, is $1.5 million with a net cost of $1,251,000 to us. That's the estimate at this point?
Yes, and when we come to the board next meeting with an appropriation request, we would probably build a contingency in as well. But your numbers are correct, yes.
Okay. Okay, other questions from the board?
No, that's it.
I'm
good, Joe.
Jamie, you have any comments on this?
No, I think the other than, I'll just add the fact that when we did the animal shelter, obviously there's a lot of discussion regarding the animal shelter, and that project was just completed. I know we have some new board members here, but for many of you that were here when we were getting the appropriation for that project, solar was always intended to be part of that project. And at that time, we were planning on doing it most likely through a power purchase agreement, where a developer would put we would make our payments to the developer. However, conditions have changed. We can avail ourselves to these incentives. Financially, us buying and installing the array is financially a better deal for the town, we feel. So that's why we elected to kind of go through this process, and where, we've previously on other town buildings, the schools in particular, we entered into a power purchase agreement. The building management system, as stated, we just feel that'll give us better controls. It is important to note that, that building, as discussed when we went through the appropriation. It was an all-electric building to kind of meet the high performance and clean energy goals. At the time, arguably, the system, building management system should have been installed. We quickly realized that it would benefit us to do that. So again, we didn't, we feel that introducing it at this time is just the prudent thing to do. As far as the lighting, and as Jim had mentioned, there was a 2017, correct, Jim, the Honeywell project. I'm sure you know not only the members on this board, but RTM. Where, we did a significant lighting upgrade at that time, as touched upon. It was a previous generation. It's important to note that those improvements at that time, we've realized significant savings that had been measured and verified to pay for a lot of the improvements. And as we're going through this analysis, when ESG did the analysis, they're not using the baseline of pre-LED installs. They're using the current conditions as a baseline. So therefore, it's not as if we're going to double count savings. They're really basing their proposal on the delta of what we're seeing today through the existing LEDs to what the next generation can buy. So I don't want anyone to think it's that was money well spent before, or we're taking out lights, far sooner than we should. We're going to, realize a true financial savings by making that. So that's where the savings from that pays for a lot of these other more capital-intensive expenditures, such as the HVAC equipment at Town Hall, which has a much longer payback, if any payback, but we need to do it because, as noted, at the end of its useful life. Thanks.
So you support it?
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate the presentation, and I would probably consider this at our next meeting.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 4 is to consider and, if appropriate, approve a transfer request from General Government Buildings for fiscal ―25 for the following: from office supplies $10,588, meals $437, total of $11,025, into utilities $11,025. Ryan.
Yes, there was a shortfall in my utilities. As we all know, the utility rates have gone up, and unfortunately, I was $11,000 short. So I asked for this transfer.
Questions? Somebody want to move it?
I'll move it.
It's moved by Jeff.
Second.
Second by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Brian, you're all set.
Thank you.
Number 5 is to consider if appropriate a transfer request from the assessor for fiscal '25 for the following: from regular wages and salaries, $32,060, into seasonal part-time, $29,945, and accumulated sick, $2,115, for a total of $32,040. Welcome, Paula.
Thank you.
How are you? So, pretty straightforward here. You want to hit the high points on this one?
Sure. The accumulated sick one, I'm going to do the easiest one, the shortest one first. Accumulated sick is when someone retires, and we had an employee retire in mid-July, so we had to pay out our accumulated sick, and we didn't budget anything for it, because you never know when people are going to leave.
Sure.
The other seasonal part-time help, we have been short of an employee for years, and it has been made up in the past through independent contractors. So it's really retired assessors who come in and do something of their expertise. And instead, when we hired the last one, he asked to be part-time.
Okay.
And so I have to transfer the money for it.
Very good. Questions, Paula?
Move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's good for that one, Paula. And then you
I'm the next one, too.
second one, too, on the Board of Appeals.
Yes. We needed to have someone help the clerk for the Board of Assessment Appeals because we had so many because of the revaluation. And so that person was paid overtime, and so it's just taking it from part-time help to overtime.
Got it. Questions?
I'll move it.
Moved by Yvette,
Second.
second by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, you're all set.
Thank you.
Item number 7 is to consider and appropriate, approve a transfer request from Police Services for the fiscal '25 from regular wages and salaries of $111,605, other supplies $15,470, parts $6,059, other supplies $183, and parades and awards $385 for a total of $133,702. Transferring into overtime for $100,344, sick pay $11,261, other fuel $9,117, marine maintenance $6,059, office supplies $183, membership and conference $385, and veterinary services $6,353 for a total of $133,702. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening. So the first two lines, the overtime and the overtime sick, they're both related to backfilling. We did up our minimum manning with the last collective bargaining agreement, whereas we also gave up the generation of some comp time. So this was expected, and we have offset it for the next fiscal year, thanks to the finance director. He was pretty much spot on where we thought we would be, so that's directly related to that. The fuel's the fuel, just basically the factors of the market and the usage. The marine maintenance, that's a very low line. That's not a hefty line. We ran into some issues with some fuel system issues with the engine, as well as a prop and some motor work there, so that drove that line up. The big 183 in the office supplies, that was due to our move. We had to fund some equipment for our record staff. We had to off-site them, so they wanted to get more organized with some filing systems, and that drove that up. The 385 in the membership and conference, that's a host of stuff, but the main driver is that's where I use our fees for our regional SWAT team, our regional traffic team, and our fees that all the 7 towns now on the SWAT side contribute to. And I would see that increasing as we move forward, as we try to offset some capital needs. And lastly, I know this in the business, but the Canine Arrow suffered a dental emergency and needed a new titanium tooth, and I guess they're a very expensive set of dentures for a dog, but being in the business, I know that this is what it runs, so that was an unexpected cost we didn't see coming, but Arrow's got some life still in them, and we want to keep them. Other than that, that's all of it.
That's good, Chief. Questions from the Chief?
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
All right, good night now. See you.
Okay, next is to consider and if appropriate, approve a transfer to fire services for fiscal '25 from regular wages and salaries, $151,339, transferring into accumulated sick pay, $44,998, accrued payroll, $13,254, stipend, $6,501, uniform clothing allowance, $996, professional development, $2,577, ambulance billing, $33,394, employment testing, $83,16, medical supplies, $75,40, safety supplies, $1,254, other supplies, $57,10, furniture and fixtures, $3,073, memberships and conference, $1,526, and transfer to Fund 203 at $22,200 for a total of $151,339. Welcome, Chief.
Thanks, Joe. As you know, we hired a large number of personnel this year. We funded them from July, didn't hire them until November, so that left us a significant surplus in our regular wages and salaries account. That's being transferred to cover these shortfalls. The majority are related to either the hiring of the new personnel or the retirement of personnel. So, for instance, our largest shortfall is an accumulated sick pay, as mentioned earlier by another presenter. That's a contractual obligation we have. Again, we don't really know when they're going to retire. We try to get an idea, but not often. I believe we only have 2 other employees left that may be eligible for that. So that'll kind of be phasing out over the next few years. Accrued payroll, we failed to budget for that this year. And the other significant shortfall is ambulance billing at $33,394. That's the money we pay to the billing company for collections. That's based on their fee of 10% of the money coming in. Had a record year this year. We brought in $2,503,000 in ambulance revenue. And then some of the other accounts, such as employment testing, some of the supply accounts, et cetera, are related to the hiring of the new personnel. And we held back money in other similar line items to transfer over, but since we had such a large surplus in regular wages, to make it easy, we just decided to take it all out of that account. And then the last large increase there is the transfer to 203. That's our match to the federal government for the grant. And this should conclude the grant. If you recall, that was almost $500,000 for training.
Right. Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Questions for the chief on this transfer request?
I'll move it.
Been moved.
I'll second it.
Second by Yvette. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you,
Chief. You're all set. Okay, next up is item number 9, is to consider, if appropriate, approve a transfer request from the Registrar of Voters from seasonal part-time, $41.62, educational incentive, $3,000, professional development, $13.50, moving and storage, $9.50, other purchases, $3.56, purchase service repairs, $1,995, equipment rental, $1,999, postage, $221, advertising and printing, $1321, office supplies, $465, memberships and conference, $457, and contingency, $25,446, transferring into part-time clerical, $3573, election workers, $8426, registrars, $297, deputy registrar straight time, $17,486, overtime, $4285, other supplies, $1,017, meal supplies, $5556, technology, $277, furniture and fixtures, $464, and travel, $349, for a total of $41,730. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening. The main reason for the overages with the clerical support, the election workers, and the deputy registrars and the meal supplies is because there was a Republican senatorial primary last August 13th, and with that came, for the first time in the state of Connecticut, required 1 week of early voting. And then for the presidential election last November, that came with a mandatory 2 weeks of early voting. So it required us to bring in a lot more poll workers, election workers, to help cover the early voting. And as far as their deputies and our part-time staff working more hours, is because of early voting, it pulled Jeff and I apart. Jeff was here setting up early voting, and I was in the office running the regular primary an election, and when you're running an election or a primary, you're supposed to always have a Democrat and a Republican there. So with Jeff being here, setting up early voting with with my deputy registrar, I would have his deputy registrar in the office with me, helping set up the election equipment so that we made sure both parties were represented. And then the meal supplies, we had to hire a lot more election workers, especially for the presidential election, because there was almost 80% turnout in the town of Branford for that election. So it was quite overwhelming. This is my 6 years here, and it was really, I'd never seen anything like that before. The turnout it was actually good to see a big turnout like that. But that's the main reason for the overages, was because of the primary and the early voting. And I'm happy to say that there will not be a primary this year. But for the municipal election, there will be 2 weeks of mandatory early voting.
Thanks, Darren. Jim, the balancing contingency?
Yes, the balancing contingency, after taking into account that transfer, is $445,638.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the registrars on this transfer request?
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
I'll second.
second by Deborah. Your discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All set, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item number 10, to consider if appropriate approval of budget transfer request from tax collector for fiscal '25 from tax refunds, $12,185, transferring into regular wages and salaries at $1,037, overtime $82.38, accrued payroll $22, and advertising and printing $28.88 for a total of $12,185. Welcome, Robert.
Good evening. So the transfers are of the $12,185 is from within our line items within our budget. So there was a shortfall of $1,037 in the regular wages and accrued payroll of $22, and that occurred as the transition of the elected tax collector's position went to an appointed position. So it created a delta within the 24-25 budget book with ADP. So we're working on this, make sure that that gets corrected in some fashion. What do we think? So the next would be the overtime. So we had an associate that was out on FMLA for two sessions, along with, as we continue with our sewer billing, creating software problems with our software vendor with that, lockbox issues, invoice cloud issues. So again, making sure we're reconciling that, along with posting of escrow payments from mortgage lenders who are coming in. To give you an example, $15 million in from CoreLogic, which is one of the largest servicers of mortgage escrows. That's about 4,200 accounts, and within that, there's lots of different issues that happen with that. Again, with being short and having those type of volumes coming in at the end of the month, it just creates an opportunity not to get it done during the regular work hours. And the same thing is happening with lease payments from automobiles. That's getting increasingly more volume coming in. So Loretta, CoreLogic, all of those folks are within the same realm. We've had this year, for example, return mail's been very high from the post office. Hundreds of pieces coming back, all deliverable addresses that if I gave you, you would say, yeah, I go by that business every day. So something is going on with the department of the postal department, where we're out researching why this is happening. So someone has to take those, look at those, make sure that those addresses are correct. So again, causing On the monthly balancing and closing of the windows, again, the monthly balancing has to be done afterward. Again, we open up at 8:30, close at 4:30. Doesn't give a lot of time for us to balance on that monthly basis, as well as any staff meetings we have. So under advertising and planning, the final rate books for 2020 and 2021, we had ordered from QDS. Those came in our 2024-25 budget. Due to QDS having a problem balancing those rate books and printing and binding those, they were delayed, so that caused an overage of about $2,100 or so. And then we had an increase in our postage, or posting, I should say, of our tax notices through the newspaper. So, we start off the year at X and we end up in Y by the end of the year as they change those rates. That's it.
Okay, Bob, thanks. Questions from the tax collector on this transfer request?
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
I'll second it.
seconded by Yvette. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, folks.
Good luck. Okay, number 11 is to consider an appropriate approval budget transfer request from Willoughby Wallace Memorial Library for fiscal 25 from regular wages and salaries, $14.30, transferring into library staff, $14.03, and purchase services and repair and maintenance, $27, for a total of $14.30. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me back.
Good, too.
So as you're probably well aware from my previous appearances, we had a lot of staffing up and downs over the year. So that's why I needed to move the money. We had somebody out on unpaid leave, so pulled it from the part-time staffing takes over, and then that's why it's basically the shortage from the part-time needs to be filled from the full-time. Oh, I'm sorry. So the way we call it in the budget book is regular wages and salary is full-time staff, and library staff is part-time staff. Sorry.
Gotcha.
So that explains that. And the $27 shortage, apparently a data entry issue happened that I caught after I had started working here. I think my predecessor must have put in an incorrect amount. So I went back and checked with Lion, who provides our delivery service between the libraries, and made sure that that amount was correct and nothing had changed after it was put into our budget in the town, and it had not. So a minor oversight, I think.
Sure.
So
Okay.
it's pretty straightforward.
All right, questions from Jennifer on this transfer? Somebody want to move it?
I'll move it.
Moved by Harry, seconded by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is considered if appropriate approve a budget request from the town clerk for the fiscal 25 from professional development 918, transferring into accumulated 6 591 and membership conference 327, for a total of 918. Lisa.
Thank you. So we did have a prior warning of a tenured employee that retired last August. So I was able to budget $14,000 for the accumulated sick pay, and the payout turned out to be $14,591. So that's the difference there, the shortfall. And then membership conferences and meetings. Because I have a fairly new staff, I felt it would be a good team-building opportunity to bring the entire staff to a conference. That boosted the conference line item by $327, so I'm asking for $918, please, and that's coming out of professional development.
Okay. Questions from the town clerk on this budget request, transfer?
I'll move it.
Moved by Harry.
Second.
Seconded by Deborah. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Lisa. And you have the next one here, which is item number 13, which is to consider and if appropriate, approve a transfer request from the town clerk on behalf of the legislative budget for fiscal 25 from law update ordinances 3648, office supplies 100, other purchases 200, purchase services of 486 as well, and for a total of 3,994, transferring into advertising and printing, 3,994.
So the shortfall is in the advertising and printing budget. There were 10 legal notices placed for the year. 5 were in Shore Publishing for the local Sound newspaper, which is substantially less money than advertising in the New Haven Register. So the shortfall is due to the higher rates in the New Haven Register. I will say that the current administration could do better at looking at the calendar, how the dates fall, and getting the agenda to me on time, but that doesn't always happen.
So you'll work on that.
Yes, and I'm throwing in the $246 from the town clerk's budget to play nice in the sandbox.
Okay. So with that, questions from town clerk on this on behalf of the RTM budget? Move it. Moved by Jeff.
Second.
Second by Deborah.
RTM.
Discussion.
I need to correct that. I meant the current RTM, the moderator and the people on the RTM who are responsible for putting the agenda together after the Board of Finance agenda. Not this guy.
Oh, I thought you were referring to Jamie.
My wife's going to have to figure out how to get the tire marks out of the back of my shirt.
That's good. All right. So additional discussion and comments by the table on our right. All in favor? Aye. Say, tax collector Robert, can you do me a favor and close that door? Thank you.
Oh, with a very long time.
Okay, item number 14 is to consider and if appropriate, approve a budget transfer request from the finance director from bond payments, $351,235 to interest, $226,310, and interest schools for $124,925 for a total of $351,235. Jim, we've got a memo from you that's a request. Is there any additional information you'd like to provide?
Yeah, just one little piece of information is that in addition to this, we also financed less than we were originally planning a year out before the budget was developed, and primarily that was because of the revaluation. So we actually did a smaller bond issue, but nevertheless, we still have to allocate once we determine what projects to finance.
Got it. Questions from Jim on this?
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second?
seconded by Yvette. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on that one, and there's several more here. Next is the Board of Finance, from audit, $224, advertising and printing, $571, transferring into actuarial services of $595. Jim, anything on this one?
No, it's just a small amount for the actuarial services. We had an unusual request where we had an employee leave and then come back, and so there was an MOA between the union and the town if the person wanted to buy back their pension from the time they were out, and so we had to have the actuary calculate what that amount would be.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Questions on this? Somebody want to move it?
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff.
Second?
Second by Deborah. Discussion. All in favor? Next item is pensions and contributions from property insurance, $20,000 into unemployment compensation for $20,000. Jim, we're self-funded on the unemployment?
Yep.
Okay. Any insight on that, or is it just straightforward?
Well, I mean, it's higher than it's been in other years. There was persons that were no longer working for us, and my understanding, although this is handled through the HR office, but my understanding is, if the person's not working, they apply for unemployment, and also if they get a job that pays less, there's like a calculation it's done. So we don't really have any control over this. We get these invoices from the state, and we're still waiting on another one that we haven't seen, and so that's why, in addition to covering the shortfall, I put a little margin in there so that we don't have to come back again, hopefully.
Okay, so do we manage this ourselves with HR?
Yes.
So I know there are some services that provide some management on appeals and claims and such, but we do this, the HR manages this?
Yeah, and broadly defined, I think that, the town's pretty aggressive at trying to fight those, but I think depending on the nature of an employment situation, sometimes the goal is to basically part ways.
Got it.
So.
Got it. Okay. And what's the total, offhand, what's the total budget for the unemployment?
It's 15,000.
Oh, generally it's 15,000?
Yeah. So currently it's about $1,800 short, but we're still missing a payment. So I just want to make sure that we have that covered, because especially since it's been unusually high this year.
Right. And if not, it'll come back to fund balance if we don't use it.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, good. Okay. Questions? So we want to move it?
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff.
Second.
Second by Harry. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is membership in meetings for economic development from that account for a total amount of $1,045, moving into other purchase services, $1,045.
A lot of that's related to the shop, sip, and stroll event. So they were using the high school carolers. That's the biggest piece of that shortfall.
Okay. Questions on this?
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff.
I'll second.
Second by Deborah. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is probate court from online services, $174, into property auto insurance for $174. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, probate court carries their own insurance. It's in their budget. They're a separate entity from the town, and so their account was actually short $174. We budgeted $1,440, or they budgeted $1,440, and they were short $174.
Questions from Jim on this? It's moved by Jeff.
I'll second.
Seconded by Yvette. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And next is legal services, which is a transfer request from tax refunds for $16,000, tax appeals $78,549, expenses and claims of $19,186 for a total of $113,735, moving into legal for $113,735. And any highlights on this one?
Yeah, I just want to point out, with the exception of the $16,000 from the tax refunds, the bulk of this was covered within the legal budget. And as I've said in the past, when it relates to legal fees, the town does engage in a variety of legal activities, contracts, risk management, and defense. I mean, the town typically is a defendant in many of these cases. The town doesn't usually actively go out and sue people, despite what some folks may think. And actually, when we're looking at this, getting towards the end of the year, it was trending fairly well. So collectively, the legal budget short about $6,000. I built some margin in there on a rare event, well, maybe not so rare, that we find a bill that comes in. I got burned one year, whereas I thought we were done, and somebody was on vacation. When they came back and updated their billing, we ended up getting a bill, so I'm trying to avoid that in the future. And again, there was some extraordinary issues related to an enforcement issue, and also related to tree maintenance. So there was some Like I said, the town was a defendant in each of those items, is my understanding. So again, all but $16,000 is coming from within the 3 legal accounts, and our legal budget is $450,000. It's pretty much stayed flat for a number of years in terms of the budget.
Thanks, Jim. Questions on this?
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second?
second by Deborah. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. And with no other business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Jeff,
Second?
seconded by Yvette. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I think Charlie'd be proud.
You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford. This program was brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.